Good morning, gorgeous people. Happy Friday, and week one again. Week one. We're going to be doing another year of kind of woodland chronically things. I haven't decided what I'm going to call it yet, but I'm sure by the time that the video goes up and the titles are organised and everything, that I shall know. So here I am. We've had a lot of rain in the UK, quite more than you would do normally, so I had to pick my route up here quite carefully because some of it's flooded, some of it isn't. So I hope all of you are flowing beautifully into the beginning of the first week of the year. It's quite interesting how different the energy is or has felt since the beginning of January, the 1st of January. It's when we walked through the December solstice gateway, it was go, go, go. Everything felt so intense. All of the year had just moved so quickly, and I did my first talk of the year for Jackie White, lovely Jackie White, who was the first person to ever host me, and it's now my 10-year anniversary of having spoken live for the first time. And I can remember I did it in a room in Southampton. The first ever talk that I did, ever, was for Jackie White and Positive Living Southampton, and this was a decade ago in July on a very, very hot night, and I can remember I was incredibly nervous. And so every year at the beginning of the year I celebrate the new year, the beginning of the season, with a live talk to the group. And this year we've decided, or Jackie decided, we'd be a little bit more adventurous and that it would be a live stream of it. And as some of you will probably be very aware, the energy of the live stream was interfered with. Now, I was covering a few subjects that were maybe a little bit on the delicate side, and we could definitely feel some quite oppressive energies around, or just stuff that was generally trying to stop the message going out. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit more this morning. First of all, it's with the technical difficulties, it was we've kind of we had a big Zoom field, and quite a lot of people were very disappointed. You're probably listening to this now, and we're trying to tune in on the Tuesday night, and some showed patience and some were very, very kind of upset about it. But that is the world of live stream. You cannot control the outside and the mitigating factors the same way as that I wouldn't be able to control somebody coming through the woods behind me with some excited spaniels and a torch and stopping and talking to me. That's just the way that life is. And so the content that I was talking about, I'm just getting kind of like download noises in my ears now, was very much about the role of the astral and the way that the astral has played out in our existence. And many of us kind of find it to be quite a negative thing, this kind of lo and behold, and we were kind of concentrating it on in a way that the second that it's mentioned that it's going to kind of like darken our energies or become an issue. And yes, the astral, I'm going to talk about the astral a little bit this morning. The astral is a place where it's filled with souls, or it was filled with souls. It was a very complex, multi-layered aspect of our physical and non-physical existence. Many of the beings that have lived on planet Earth, when they pass over and they don't go into a state of ascension, they are almost caught up in what would be in the astral planes. Now, the astral planes are light parts of it, and there are some very deep, dark and dense parts of it. And many souls go to live there after they've lived their incarnation, their physical incarnation on planet Earth, simply because they are karmically bound to it in some way, whether they don't wish to cease the habits that they that they had during their lives on planet Earth, or simply because they don't know that there's anything that they need to be passing over to. It's almost like a holding bay. But the way that I see it, it's a little bit like walking into a kind of like a grottier Wetherspoons pub in the UK, where everyone's kind of sat slumped over the bar drinking like they've been doing for 80 years or so. And that just is that's the general energy that I've had contact with, and everything seems to be kind of painted in greys. So those aspects of the astral, slowly but surely, since 2020, have been collapsed. Okay, in 2020, if many of you will have kind of heard some of my earlier videos when I first started doing this, the astral planes were almost taken over by the forces of light, or some aspects of it were. There was what looked to be a huge battle as the legions of Anubis and Archangel Michael's angels and the dragons and many other kind of like warrior souls of the light moved through there and literally razed to the ground the deeper, darker, denser parts of it. And of course, when that occurred, all of the beings that lived there or regarded that place as their home, they were released, and they had nowhere else to go apart from to wander amongst us. And that's why we feel like we have picked up so many lower frequency energies. Well, this has been an ongoing project. It's been something that's been kind of rumbling and rattling on in the background. Some of us have been aware of it and some of us haven't been aware of it. And it really picked up pace at the end of 2023, along with, if you think about all of the light and the spiritual gateways and the activations and the codings and the deliberate kind of reconstruction or overlay of light that occurred last year, the darker and the denser parts of this existence that we live in can no longer exist in that framework, in that vibration. So bit by bit, or chunk by chunk, the astral has been taken down. Okay, Diana Cooper has also mentioned that she's seen very clearly and has done work on closing the doorways to the astral. Now this has a profound and very exciting effect on the world that we live in, because as you are listening to this, as we are living, as we are moving from 3D to 5D, we are doing everything that we possibly can to extract ourselves from what we previously regarded or spoke about as the Matrix. And I say that in inverted commas because it's a term that's used very liberally, like a lot of spiritual terms. People just blurt it out, they speak it. But what is the Matrix? You know, what is the third dimensional matrix? You and I were born into it. We were born into 3D. We incarnated on this planet when the vibration, yes, it was rising, and we were heading towards the switch, the 2012 switch, but it was nevertheless the complex and rich and somewhat very challenging place that we were all incarnated into, with certain rules set up, certain setups, those that haves, those that don't haves, and all of the other polarities that you have seen and experienced over the course of your existence up to this point. So what happens when people plug out of this, when they disengage from the matrix? Well, it loses power. It deflates like a balloon, and I've described this before in previous videos about me actually seeing what was perfectly before a very healthy and like super sustained plane of existence that is just becoming less and less powerful, with less and less souls bound to it. So the astral, as it turns out, has been the fueling point for keeping the energy of the third dimensional matrix as the perfect state of illusion, in the perfect state of illusion. So when we were living in it and we knew no better, which we didn't when we were born into it, we did know no better. We were born with gifts we were born psychic, we were born sensitive, we were born with all of the other kind of gifts that have the potential to grow, but because of the way that the third dimensional matrix was geared up for, all of those were shut down, or the majority of them were shut down. Some of us, the lucky ones, were allowed to keep our gifts, or they weren't suppressed. And I don't really think that life for those, and that includes me, during those years was comfortable in the slightest. In fact, many of us were shunned. We found life very, very difficult as sensitive, psychic, open-hearted souls. So, as this fueling, as the astral loses its power to sustain the energy of the matrix, the magic that is used by those that control the matrix becomes inefficient. It has no magical power anymore. So when you hear and you see and you maybe speak of, or you are aware of, the kind of the powers that were, the rulers, the magicians that have kept this beautiful world of ours in a state of illusion for 10,000 years, maybe just over 10,000 years now since the fall of Atlantis, what is happening at the moment is this magic has no more power. So although we see the news, although we see the events, or the potentialities are seeded within the mainstream media for us to be scared of, to us to add our energy to, nobody is actually igniting the box of fireworks anymore in order for it to burn and become a display. So we have got a very interesting year ahead of us, because the magic that we were up against previously is becoming powerless, okay? And in a complete paradox, we are becoming powerful. So every single one of us have a bound duty and responsibility this year to be as powerful as we possibly can be. Okay, it's not a game of halves anymore. It's not a case of just, maybe going about it if we feel like it. It's all systems go for the light workers of Earth. But on a manifestation level, it is time to become extremely, maybe even fixated upon the perfection of our creations. And the core centre of those creations, the central point of all our perfect manifestation, and our love and our exuberance and our enthusiasm for bringing this world into the fifth dimension is us. Okay, so the message that I have got very clearly is that the light workers of Earth are being called to be happy. Okay, now considering how most of us feel the majority of the time, considering that we are feeling tested, we're feeling initiated, we feel like we've been through dark night of the soul. After dark night of the soul, the energies are difficult to deal with. We might be not sleeping properly. Most of the time we feel like we've been plugged into the mains because there's a sun flare coming down, or something else is going on. There's a spiritual date that's coming up that we're feeling acutely and very powerfully. It's time to stop, check in, and reform the picture. Okay, now this is something that I feel that we've got out of the habit of doing. It's very easy to be washed in the tidal current of feeling like we can't cope because life is moving so fast. But I'm going to be working on personal manifestation, the personal manifestation of happiness, of abundance, of peace, of unity. And this is going to be something that I'm hoping to weave into all of the work that I am bringing through this year, whether I'm working with other people in cooperations and collaborations, or whether I'm bringing through something for myself. The perfection of the creation that you are is now requiring attention. It's requiring all of the focus and ability and mastery and sovereignty that we have as our natural birthright on this planet, but to bring it through, to stop being victims of the energies, victims of circumstances, or, you know, kind of battered by the whirlwinds that surround us on a continual basis, to become the eye of the storm at all times, regardless of what our personal circumstances are or how challenged we are. Sometimes that requires us to step back and become reclusive, to create a loving energy space for ourselves that we can kind of nurture and grow. And if that's the case, then that's what we go and do. So the power of our previous world is disappearing, and all eyes and focus and intention of the universe is moving now to spotlight what we are creating together. So where your attention goes, your energy flows. And again, this is a drum that I have beaten continuously, particularly for the last 3 years when things have got very seemingly oppressive, where we've been kind of witnessing so much stuff coming out of the shadows to be faced, to be lit up, to be loved. And if we keep looking backwards to where we've been, if we keep kind of rummaging through the old boxes, through the old archives, through the things that bothered us previously, that's what we're going to be perpetuating over and over again. So the eyes of our creative talent, of the force of our creation, is in the here and now, building the perfect reality for all of us. One of the best parts about Tuesday night is always so lovely to come together, to have a physical meeting, to you know, to exchange words and a hug and to have physical contact and speak to people in the real. You're listening to me on video, but there's many live events coming up this year. I hope to see some of you there. And one beautiful theme that I picked up straight away was that this is going to be a fantastic year. Now, when one person says that to you, you're like, okay, great, you know, like, go you, have a fantastic year. When 2 people say it to you, you maybe pay a little bit of attention. When 3 people say it, that's the universe actually giving you an indication that there is a theme, that there is an energy, that there is something that you need to be paying attention to. And when the 4th person on Tuesday night said to me, I feel that this is going to be a fantastic year, I knew it was going to be. I knew that immediately that the collective field that we all have together as light workers is now stepping into a state of higher creation. Okay, we're not ruled by magicians anymore. Okay, and if they are, they're good. You know, there will be no rulers in the 5th dimension. Okay, nobody's going to be ruling the roost over everybody else. We'll all be making decisions from the heart, for the collective, for the good of the whole. What we can see around us now is the kind of the politics, the structures, the everything that is seeking to entrap and bring us back down again, back to a lower frequency. That is all going to collapse, and it's going to be happening over the next 10 years or so. But it will be doing it in a way that is sustainable, so that we do not ever get plunged back into the Stone Age or are kind of worried for our existence or our survival. And it's down to us to believe so wholeheartedly, or tune into that collective field of this is going to be a beautiful and wonderful year. Of course, we are going to see things around us that challenge that. and maybe prod our bubble of happiness and like, come on you, time to be miserable, you know, let's get worried, we've got stuff to be angry and be frightened about. Of course there's an abundance of that. If you want to go and pick from that field, plenty of it out there. But we are setting about creating now the most beautiful year, the most exciting, special, high frequency year that we have possibly ever experienced on this ascension pathway. And it begins with you, it begins with me, it begins with all of us. So let's get cracking. Let's start this year as we mean to go on, and get manifesting. Sending you all so much love. And I'm going to be joined by my lovely friend Alice Heath on the 8th of January, which is only a few days away. And we're going to be working with Royal Codex, Manifestation and Abundance. Join us. The information for the event will be underneath this video. On the 11th, I'm going to be working with my good friend Paul Dobree-Carey. We are going to be investigating the power of the Sphinx. That's going to be a good one as well. And then on the 19th of January, I'm getting on a plane and I'm flying to Helsinki. And I'm going to be co-presenting a 2-day Nordic Ascension workshop with Lovisa Alvtorn in Helsinki. So if you can get yourself to that, it's going to be a good weekend. Love you all. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.